Alright, so this is Sunday the 24th of April.
We're almost at the end of the month of April.
We are almost at the end of April.
And we've been in Chavuma for more than a month and a week, pretty much.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's almost as long as we were in Lusaka.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is our week update.
Well, we had a crazy start to the week.
It was, yeah. So Monday was, what do they call it? Easter Monday, hey?
Yes.
It was a holiday. We didn't have any staff. We were actually, relaxing. We were actually editing last week's update video.
On Monday, yeah.
When we had some visitors come to the base, right?
Yes.
Kennedy and Herbert.
Yeah.
What did they want?
They came to tell us that Herbert's mother-in-law, she had disappeared.
In her mid-80s.
So she has already lost her mind a little bit. So with dementia, she's living with the mom and them, but then she disappeared. The morning they woke up and she was no longer there.
But she disappeared on Wednesday the previous week.
Yes, and they looked everywhere for her, but on that morning they had heard reports that people had seen a body in the river. Yeah, so they wanted to know whether they could borrow the boat and we could go together down the river to look to see if we can find her body. So our week started on a search or a hunt for a dead body in the river. Whoa, crazy. And partially you're thinking you hope we find her body, but at the same time you're like, we hope we don't find her body, because if you find a body, it's horrible to find a dead body
to find your mother in that condition in the river. I mean, you don't hope for that. So we were praying for success of our journey, but we weren't able to actually figure out what success would look like. I mean, we're praying that this lady would be found alive somewhere else, not in the river. Anyway, so we were unsuccessful in finding anybody, but we did actually get far down the river, almost as far as the Mayina Ford base.
Yeah.
But we stopped at a little fishing camp on the side of the river to ask the fishermen whether or not they might have seen a body floating by on the river. And
that was actually a nice opportunity as well.
Yeah. Well, they hadn't seen a body, but it was a nice opportunity to talk to them about the gospel.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Herbert was able to, share the gospel. Herbert's a lovely Christian, loves the Lord, and great evangelist. And there he was just sharing the gospel. So
how incredible, despite his pain in terms of loss of the family member and the trauma actually which they were going through. Being able to take that opportunity to share with somebody along the road, not rushing off, but taking the time and saying, this is a time to engage with this person and share the gospel and the love of Jesus. And I thought that was such a testimony to see somebody taking time out of what is a traumatic event to share the gospel with somebody else during that time. Yeah,
so unfortunately we had to return without any solution to the scenario
or resolution.
Anyway, it was great that we could help Herbert and Kennedy, they are related, to just go for that search downriver with the looking for their mum. This week has also been quite busy with lots of work to be done around the property. A lot of practical work, I suppose, for our house. What are some of the things that you're happy about?
There's a lot of things I'm happy about, but the one thing was our cupboard. Our cupboard space was our walk-in closet, was just shelves. So there was no hanging space. So some of our things that should be hanging, like your suit and things like that, was having to be folded, and that's not ideal. So you worked really hard to take the shelves off the wall and turn them to the side, which I think was a genius plan, and then have a hanging rod up so we can have our clothes hanging. Something is biting me. Anyway, so we can have our clothes hanging as well, and that, I thought that was very awesome. And bedside lights.
Bedside lights, yes, yeah. Because I mean, up till now we've been living in this house where there is a light in the room, but the light switch is way outside the door. It's outside the room. You got to get up and go out with a torch at night to switch the light on.
And why do you need a torch?
Because there's scorpions that come into our house and walk on the, you know.
And you've had experience of that.
I've stepped on 2 scorpions already in the night. I've been stung by these things. So, and it's not pleasant. The sting of these scorpions, though it's not medically important, it is painful. It is super painful for 3 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I get out of the bed at night, I want to make sure I can see the floor.
Yeah.
So if I need to go to the toilet at midnight or just get out of the bed, I have to find a torch. It's like I'm camping. You know, Luke spoke this morning at church about camping. You know, I'm camping here in my house.
Yeah.
So it was important for me.
When you say camping, you say glamping.
Glamping. Yeah. That's right, because we got electricity. Anyway, so I made us some bedside lights,
which we can switch on right above our head in the bed.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, and they look quite fancy too.
Yeah. I used some local resources. I mean, we
took baked bean cans and just fixed it onto the wooden thing, and it looks very cool. It looks cool,
and it works nicely.
Yeah. Sort of like a rustic style.
Sure, fair enough. So that was one of a couple of things that we did. I also moved the kitchen light switch, which was also in the corner. You got to actually walk in the darkness right into the corner to get the light switch. So I've moved that closer to a more practical place so that when we get out, again, also you don't want to be stepping on scorpions or snakes that have entered your house during the night. So the light is important. So at least now as we leave our room and enter into the kitchen living room space, the light switch is right there at the door, and we can have a look to see. That's important.
I suppose next on our priority list, I suppose, is for our house is to get the ceilings in and things like that. Yes,
ceilings. That's still to come, but it's not.
Slowly but surely, we're making progress.
Getting things done. What else have you been doing up to this week, love? You did some sewing, didn't you?
I did. I took one of those wrap, the Shitenge is what they call it here, and it is nice. But when you're going out to town and you're wrapping, you're always at risk that it's going to come undone or so. And I thought I want something a bit easier, so I want to take the cloth and then make a wraparound skirt with it. So I cut it up. Sort of looked up for what the pattern would look like, and I cut it up and measured and everything. But when I started stitching it together, I realized it was too little fabric because it wasn't wrapping around. So I had to take other bits of fabric that I'd cut off and stitch them upside down in there to just basically patch it up until I've managed to almost finish my wraparound skirt. It's just got to finish the belt, and then I will be done with my wraparound skirt with my Shitenge cloth. So that was one thing I got almost done, not completely done, but almost there. And that's in the kitchen side of things.
And you've been making some lovely meals this week as well.
And I caught a rat.
You caught a rat in our house. You did, brave. Well done.
Caught it in a box and got it out.
Yeah, we chucked it outside as food for the owls.
We
didn't kill it.
But the owls will kill it.
The owls will probably eat it. Because we got those lovely barn owls which live on the roof, and they're always very active. So I'm pretty sure they had a bit of a meal last night, and they'll thank us for that. So Friday morning was also an interesting morning. Woke up and Friday morning, oh my word, those cows! I heard a cow pass through our yard, our mission house here. They They just came through the bush and they just grazed. They ate the lawn, they ate the bushes, they pushed through the fence. The fence, they're talking about this grass wall at the front of our property, which is, it's not much. It's like paper anyway. So they just pushed through that. And they eventually found themselves in the back corner of the property where we store all the off-cut woods.
Yeah.
And that's where I found them in the morning. So
and they left all their like.
Oh yeah, so cow dung heaps all over.
Fodder for our compost heap.
Yes, that will go into our compost heap, which is another thing we're busy with this week as well. We made a compost heap, a nice one that's going to actually make us some nice, good compost.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I had to go and find the owner of these cows because this is not the first time they've done this. Fortunately, the cows were able to be identified by Rainford and Henry, the two guys who work here on the property. And so we took a drive out into the Chavuma Centre, found the owner. He's actually the headman of that little area. Because when I found him, I was like, hey guys, your cows have like destroyed some of our property, they're there. I want to know who's the headman. I want to report this. He's like, no, he's the headman.
No, I was like,
So now what are we going to do?
Report the headman to the headman.
Now what are we going to do? I say to him. He says, yeah, well, you're going to tell me. I said, okay, no problem. Listen, this time I'm just going to let it by. I'm going to forgive you and your cows for what they've done. But if this happens again, we're going to have to take this further because you have to keep your cows under control.
You were actually being gracious because you were planning to keep the cows and they must pay you 1,000 kwacha to come and get the cows from you.
They must come buy their cows.
You're going to keep the cows until the person's comes to look for their cows, and then you're going to say, well, you give me 1,000 kwacha.
Yeah, but I can't keep those cows in this property because they shed ticks.
Yeah.
And we can get tick bite fever from that. So anyway, that was a bit of an exciting morning, getting the cows back to their kraal. We brought the cowboy. There was actually two of them, and they came and chased the cows away. But what we did the rest of the day, myself, Rainford and Henry, is we started building up a perimeter fence. There were some fence poles already, but other fence poles had to be put in, and then we got some barbed wire which was in our store, and we just made a bit of a fence on the one side, and then also that grass area where they broke through, we had to find some fencing wire just to temporarily close that, but we still need to replace that whole grass fence because it's rotting. It's about to fall over. We actually need something more secure there. So it's another thing that's on our to-do list. But yeah, that was what kept us busy for most of Friday.
It's a lot of practical
things.
Yeah.
I have also started doing some research Thursday and Friday, trying to find out as much information as I can about the pastors who've been on the pastor training program in this area. Because John Leach is still out in Europe trying to get supplies into Ukraine to help the people there. So I'm finding it difficult to actually find out what's going on with the pastors here and how I can touch base with them, who they are, how far they've advanced in the program, who needs what training, and also I want to make contact with these guys. So I want to know who they are, where they live, what their contact numbers, and actually start building a relationship with them and seeing how I can get involved in this program of pastor training. So yeah, that is something that needs to happen. And I have been working on that on Thursday and Friday, and I've found out at least a fair amount of information. But it's all scattered around the office in different little places. It's not much organization, so I'm also trying to organize that information better so that we can know, have access to it easier. We also actually had a very significant encounter this week, which I think is significant for what you want to be doing here.
Yeah.
It's possible here, please.
We were driving to town, to the market, and I'll just listen to those birds. They're so happy. Anyway, we were driving to town, to the market, and then there was a guy walking, quite neatly dressed, like almost looked like, white shirt, black pants, very neatly dressed. And I don't know why, but you stopped and thought to give him a lift.
I actually saw his white hair. I thought, there's an elderly man, he's got a long way to go if he's going to Chavuma. we're going that direction. Why would we give him a lift?
Yeah, so we stopped and we asked him, where is he going? He said he's going to the town. We said, come, let's go together. So he joined us and we started having a conversation with him. And then it turns out that he's a school teacher, a primary school teacher, across on the West Banks, in a town. What's the village called? Mabiri. Yeah. So he's working there. So we started having a chat about the English, and he said yes, there is a big problem because the curriculum only introduces English to the primary school kids in grade 3, and then they just have from grade 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 they have some English lessons, but before that they're not allowed to have English lessons. They're not allowed to be taught at school. It's not part of the curriculum. And he said from grade 3 is not enough time, especially because it's just an English lesson, but the rest of the school classes are taught in Luvali, or the local language. But in high school they have to now do a competency exam to go to high school, and they are often not able to go to high school at all.
Because their classes are taught in English in high school. Yeah.
So in terms of, we asked him about the literacy and how that would benefit them, whether we could do literacy lessons or literacy centers or some stuff like that. And he was saying that would really be a great help.
That would be really awesome, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's what they're struggling with a lot. So it gives us a bit of confirmation that this is the right direction for us to go in. And
a point of contact where we can actually get in and actually set up a literacy center somewhere nearby where it would be useful. I think that was a really, really significant meeting for what we want to be doing here. I'm very grateful to God for meeting that teacher.
Yeah, and it did give us some ideas as well in terms of, things that we could potentially do if we wanted to set up sort of strategize and set up bases where you can go and do literacy classes or something like that. So we definitely want to think a bit more proactively around where and how we are going to be doing these literacy programs, as well as evangelism, Jesus film, those kind of things.
We're here to make Jesus known, and so anything we do, whether it's teaching English or putting up boreholes or whatever, it's all with that underlying goal to present Christ and to preach the gospel, to let people know the gospel. So yes, we'll definitely incorporate gospel into our English teaching programs. And while we're there in the village, we'll also probably show the Jesus film or do some teaching, house-to-house visitation with the guys, get to know the local headmen and the chiefs, and see where the needs are in terms of water, where we can identify places for boreholes to go, and then at the same time also ensuring that there's a good a gospel preaching church in the village. If there's not, we can work with our partner churches here to arrange that a church is planted there. And then support that work as well, and just make sure
maybe
that
you want to
grows.
share about the information we got about the students, the English students.
Yes. There was another significant piece of information that came out this week. We had dinner here at our home, actually at a braai, with a Canadian missionary who's up on the top of the hill here at Chavuma Mission. Now at Chavuma Mission, the main work that they do is the hospital up there. And they also, alongside the hospital, they have a nursing school to train up nurses for the hospital and for other regions. So there are 300 nursing students that attend that nursing school. The hospital is staffed by 115 staff, nursing staff. I think there's only one doctor amongst them. Another problem. And even that doctor is shared amongst different regions. But anyway, the point is, amongst these 300 students and 100 staff at the hospital, only about 30% of them are local Luvali speaking. And the rest of them are actually from different tribes. And the point is, they don't have a church to attend. Henry, the missionary, was telling me that he's trying to motivate the church there on the hill to have an English service. but they are very traditional and really wanting to preserve the Luvali culture, and so they want to present a Luvali church service, and they're not really interested to go over to English. So this just re-emphasized the need that there is here in Chavuma for an English church, or at least an English service.
You could potentially have 200-300 members, English service here in Chavuma, even though it is a Luvali area.
Yeah.
But there's so many people from outside that are not Luvali speaking that would benefit from having an English service.
Yeah, and that's not to speak of the bank, where also there's
or the border
posts, customs, the police here, the civil servants here in the civic center. A lot of them are not Luvali's people from this area, and they would need an English church. So that's reignited my, could I say, zeal to work towards an English church plant here. We've already started an English Bible study. A weekly Bible study here on our mission base, and currently it's just the three of us. It's
me
yourself,
and you, Leslie,
and I, and Leslie, John's wife. We're doing a weekly Bible study, but I think we need to also think about how to invite others to this. Maybe also we might need to move our location where we have this Bible study, because if the 300 students are uphill. Anyway, but it's really just reinvigorated us in that pursuit and passion of seeing an English church planted here in Chavuma. So it's been a very interesting week, starting off on Monday with looking for a dead body, on Friday building fences to keep cows out, and in between that a whole bunch of practical work and research work and information coming out of different meetings that we've had. It's been a good week, hasn't it?
And I've ordered our water filter.
Our water filter has been ordered, and it's
on its way from Centurion now to Lusaka, and then once it gets to Lusaka, we'll have to figure out a way
to get it from there to here.
We'll see.
Anyway, I think that's a wrap. I mean, that was our week. It's great. I'm very grateful to our supporters who continue to give so that we can do our work here. So thank you very much to all those who continue to give and to support us. We really, really appreciate and love you guys lots. Thank you for those who pray for us and who encourage us weekly. We're super grateful.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.